Well, we got something to say. People keep asking us for announcements, hints, something. And for those of you who saw the thumbnail, the only hint you really got was that winter is coming. Are you a fan of winter, Steve, or are you mostly outdoorsy in the summer?
Yeah, I love winter, dude. It's lightly snowing right now. I would almost prefer that it snows 24/7. I just love it.
Okay, so you're mostly snow plows and just snowshoeing around your house kind of a guy.
Yes.
I
Yep.
love when it snows, but I love being inside and staring at the snow outside like a kid at Christmas, right?
Yeah,
And
and
then
that's
yeah.
beautiful as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, did this as a recording, did not go live for it. Figured we could just let everyone know what's going on. People have been asking questions about 2026 and saying, "What do you all have planned for 2026?" And it is good news, but it's good news with a caveat because what everybody wants is for all of our reveals to come mid-year at Joefest, everything to drop, and then they can all purchase it right then and there, and it goes up a few days after, and everyone else can order it online after. Now, there's going to be an element of that, right? But
Yep.
it's not going to necessarily be just that, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what I want to prep viewers for. But towards the end of this video, we should be in the 30-minute range or so. Steve's put together some stuff from our sculptor, and we have a little something to show you all. So having said that, there's a lot of people who are new coming into the channel and they're saying, what is Delta-17? So for those of you who are new to the channel, this is an O-ring military-ish toy line that we've been working on for the last number of years. We dropped the first wave in 2024. Well, the first year of stuff in 2024 and the second year of stuff earlier this year in 2025. And the question is what's going on for 2026. So for the new viewers, I did put together a summary slide of what year one looked like. So if you're trying to either get into the line or know what you're up against, or if you're somebody who's been collecting but you can't remember what came with what and what came out when, we effectively had 14 items in 2024, right? We had 12 items launched as part of what we called Wave 1. And then the non-carded item, which was the Okami Elite Sentry, that was our Joefest exclusive. You can call it loosely, it's like the epilogue to Wave 1, sort of. And the comic also dropped at Joefest. So it was a stacked lineup for year one in 2024 there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a busy year.
How was Joefest for you in 2024, Steve?
Oh man, that was amazing. It was amazing to meet all the people, and to have product to offer is always very exciting. But yeah, it's mostly about the people. It's great to meet customers and just people in general. It's an amazing show. I'd recommend it to anyone. I think it's probably, if you're into O-rings and that sort of thing, it is the convention to go to of the whole year for sure.
100%. And we had kind of a soft launch in 2023 where we showed off the test shots, the prototypes there at Joefest 2023. Then at the end of 2024, our shipment landed here in Canada, and then we had problems getting it across the border with safety standards, age grading, trying to convince the people at the border that yes, they're toys, but they're not necessarily for kids, right? And so we had kind of a soft launch where I think I sent out maybe 10 or 12 parcels to friends to get some early reviews, but we couldn't get it out to the mass public until spring 2024. So that's why our year one is really 2024. 2023 is really year zero, is what I kind of call it. Right.
Yeah.
So the following year, which is the year we're concluding right now, which is 2025, we had kind of the hangover of Wave 1, which was Hailstorm, which was what you see at the bottom there with the two colors. That was supposed to be part of Wave 1, but it got deferred. And then we had the Desert 2-pack and the Weapons pack. So some people say, why did you have a light year in year 2? Well, it's hard. It's a hard business. You can ask Steve on the design side, the development side, and the financial side. I'm just the hype guy. So for me, it's like, all right, I'll promote whatever, right? But yeah, it was a tough year, but it was a good year still for year 2, right?
Yeah, it was good. There's lots of things that we'd love to be doing. We'd love to put out more comics on a regular basis and all that sort of thing. And we'd love to work a lot harder. The reality of it is boy. Like, I guess, on a bit of a personal note, 2025 was probably one of the hardest years. 24 was also very difficult. We had a daughter who was mentally ill, and she was going in and out of treatment, and then she'd escape and go missing, and we'd have missing persons reports, and we'd be flying all over the country trying to find her, even in Arizona. And then in the meantime, I've been struggling for at least 5 years with fatigue and low blood sugar and allergies to all foods except for beef, which is gross. And so it's taken quite a toll. And then I think I had cancer for about a month, but I blasted that out with ivermectin and fenbendazole. It was amazing. Within a month, everything, but that's its own subject. So, I work 7 days a week here, and I basically have to work 1.5 hours, maybe 2 hours to get 1 hour's worth of work out of me. So that part is difficult. And then just before Joefest, we found that my daughter had passed away. So that was a part of our year as well. So 2026 the schedule is off quite a bit. We will have 2 exclusives for Joefest next year. I'd love to have the second comic already in the works, but it's that is behind as well. We have 6 new figures coming for the end of 2026. It would be great if they were here on time for Joefest 26. It's not going to happen. I've been running behind based upon the fact that life has been pretty upside down over here. But I don't mean to be, all melodramatic. That's just sort of the reality of what we're working with. For the most part, Delta-17 is me working here 7 days a week, and partnering with other people, other assets all over the place, sculpting and stuff. And Ken, you help out a lot. I really appreciate that. And we have a great product. I think 26 is going to be a bit of a sideways year, and then 27 will be back at her with all barrels loaded. So.
Well, when people see the lineup for 26, which we're going to tease, not fully reveal, but tease in this video, they're going to be pretty excited. Now, yeah, a lot of the stuff you told about the personal life, people did ask me about that, but it really wasn't my story to tell. So the fact you opened up on here about it, hopefully people can understand what's going on. Like the ivermectin story, you told that on Nostradamus Toys a number of months ago, and that was kind of an amazing story. Emily's passing hit your family really hard. I remember I was in the theater and my phone pinged, and when I went to the bathroom to check, I saw a missed call from you, and I didn't know what to do. Like, I don't even remember going back to watch the rest of the film, but I had to kind of round my family up, and it was to drive home, and it was kind of a quiet drive home.
Yeah.
I recall, and I just said, whatever you need, I'm here, right? And that's why sometimes, like, when I try to wrangle the schedule and be like, hey Steve, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to finish, we got to update the website, I almost feel bad sending you all these text messages, but until you say the words shut up and leave me alone, I'm gonna keep doing that and keep playing assistant here on the side, right? Because a lot of times you'll be like, oh wait, it's Friday already, that means we have to get this blasted out. I'm like, yeah,
right.
Or right. I'll be like, I'll get a graphic, and if you want to tweak it, you can do it. I'll send you the elements to tweak the graphic, like this graphic right here, for example. But, so I know people sent their condolences to you in around the time of Joefest, and we're I'm probably going to see you here in person in a couple weeks, and it'll be good to catch up with you and Angela and everybody else. So
that'll be awesome, man. Yeah, and I appreciate it. It's she graduated to glory, so it's not the worst thing ever, but it is difficult to get used to. So yeah, I lost probably a couple months of progress. So we're off schedule, but it's Joefest 26 will be a bit of a light year, but we're still going. We're not going to stop. A person doesn't stop eating, sleeping, working. You have to carry on. So All
I
right.
know, and you've been strong at carrying on with that. You know, I remember your eulogy, your speech there at the wake, the funeral was quite moving. So,
Oh,
um,
thanks.
so we've got a sale going on. I put the ticker up there where you can all see Delta17toys.com December sale ongoing right now. It's 20% off Army Builders, 10% off of regular figures and the comic. And go look up the weapons pack because that doesn't fall under the usual sale criteria. We may have taken a few dollars off even that.
Yep.
So somebody ordered 30 weapons packs the other day because they felt it was worth it. So yeah.
Nice.
So everybody check the sale out. We I know everyone's probably itching, jonesing for the reveals, but I'm gonna tee up and prime up the reveals by going over a few quick facts about some of our characters here. There's a reason why we are doing that. So everybody loves Death Sparrow, right?
Mhm.
And many of you for the first time are going to see that image on the right side there. I'm actually going to get rid of my Toy Connections logo, so it's out of the way there. This is the first sketch you ever sent me of Death Sparrow on the one side there. You can see how much of that translated over to the physical final figure, although she has gray boots and gray gloves on the original photo,
Right.
the original artwork, I should say. And some of the information there at the back is on the back of the file card, like the fact she comes from a military family and she has KGB connections, and that she's loyal to the former ways of the USSR, as well as handpicking the members of Thunder Battalion. What
Right.
a lot of people don't know is during development, not just in terms of the gray boots and everything, but once you establish sort of the brown boots and the brown gloves, we looked at making her more of a medium to dark gray rather than a full black.
Yep.
And that was something we look back and forth. We're like, man, she would look really badass in dark gray, and we ended up going with black, ultimately. But that was one of those color schemes. I was like, oh, should we revisit that at some point? But then we're revisiting her in other ways now, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah. Like she's obviously not old and she doesn't remember, the former USSR, but her family
yeah,
and her research just draws her towards the days of power, when the Soviet Union seemed to be this huge powerhouse and there wasn't the shortages and the difficulties with the economy or anything like that. So that's what she looks to. And so yeah, she does have a background in the FSB, which was the former KGB and all that sort of thing, and as well as Spetsnaz, which is usually attached to FSB. But yeah, in the development phase, I mean, we had all sorts of. She was originally, when I first started making her, I was fascinated with the Emercom division, which is sort of emergency assistance, part of the military in Russia, not the Soviet Union. Sorry, their uniforms and all of that would have made a great toy. So when I originally designed her, she was actually going to be a member of Emercom. So
mhm.
you can see their full blue uniforms and their red
Let
berets
me
and all
let me
that stuff.
maximize your screen. So this is what Emercom looks like.
Yeah,
So that was the original idea for her. Yeah. And I know you mentioned the former USSR, like the first sort of like set of notes that became the bio later on
yeah,
showed more immediate ties to the USSR, but that got taken out in the final bio because we looked at her age relative to when the Soviet Union fell, and we're like, that doesn't really make sense, doesn't line up. So we made it more of a familial tie more than it was a her remembering the old ways than anything else.
yeah,
So
absolutely. And then we went through a whole bunch of color iterations. As you can see, some of these we might revisit in the future.
yeah, your cam is currently clearing up, so just hold that there for a second. It might
Oh,
not clear up much more than that, but yeah, okay. It looks like it's kind of coming through. Yeah, the one on the far left or right, depending on what we're looking at, that's the one that looks closest to the alternate colorway. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So your camera is a little bit cloudy,
Oh,
for some
sorry.
reason. Yeah. But that's okay. You're on kind of a smaller screen right now anyway. But yeah, so it says at the bottom there that her head is only swappable with other Delta-17 females, i.e. for now. Future, this statement will apply more. But
Yeah.
right now, that's only Kestrel. Yeah. Can you hold up your hand to the camera and just get it? See if you can get it to focus.
Wait. Speak to the hand. Is it working?
Give it a couple of seconds. Doesn't want to focus for some reason. That's why a lot of people would have loved to see a clearer view of that that Death Sparrow.
I wonder if that's the internet connection, because the camera on my end is crystal clear.
It's crystal clear. Okay, let
Yeah.
me try full screening you again. Yeah, you're a bit pixelated here. I can hear you just fine, but okay. Well, we're gonna have to just revisit that old Death Sparrow colorway. Because I don't have that one here with me. I have a few of her colorways, but not that one.
Okay.
So yeah, she was also the second sculpt that was completed by Tommy. Actually, I'm gonna look for that colorway while we're talking because everyone's gonna ask me about it later on. They're gonna, hey, we couldn't see it. So I may as well grab the because you showed like 10 or 15 there. I think I have 3 of them here, which realize everyone's gonna ask me later. So I may as well give a bit of a primer because we're gonna have to revisit that at some point in time. Yeah, she was the second sculpt completed by Tommy Hodges, our sculptor, and
right.
She's basically our most popular non-army builder.
Yeah. So, well, Rooster, and her.
You know what? Yeah, they're neck and neck, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, here we go. I don't have all of the colorways Steve showed, but hopefully that's coming out nice and clear. At least somewhat clear. No, I'm not that clear either, but at least we can kind of see it. Is it clear? Not clear?
Yeah, you can get a sense of the colors. So
yeah, there we go. I think cleared up. There we go. Yeah. So those are some of the colorways we looked at for Death Sparrow.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Right. So yeah, and now it doesn't want to focus on me because I'm too far back. Right. So yeah, so she's become popular as a character. People keep adding her to their ranks of the October Guard. And rightfully so. Right. So yeah, we got her, and then we have the other popular one, basically our bestseller, which is the Thunder Battalion.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, a lot of people leave the belt on backwards because the packaging just came that way. Right. But if you look at that drawing, the artwork on the one side there, and you can't really see his belt that clearly because he's holding his weapon, but they actually, like, that's the right way, but people usually leave it on backwards. Even our cosplayer at Joefest left it on backwards, and we're like, that's fine. Just it's now a little fun thing that we talk about, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You see a lot of notes here that are similar to, well, at least one note that's similar to Death Sparrow, which is that loyal to the ways of the former USSR because they're handpicked from former members of Spetsnaz, and the 2 different visors. But I remember the first set of colorways you sent me for Wave 1. This was not on there, and that's why I have the note there that this was a late development item amongst that original wave of figures. Right?
Yeah, he was towards the end. One of the few guys that were finishing up. Like we had Jesse Sandifer was working on Jaguar and Shadow Dragon as Tommy was finishing up his last guy, which I believe was Thunder Battalion.
Yeah, I just mean the original art that you did even before we got to the sculptors. But I think that would have been, you would have been doing that in parallel anyway, at least to some degree, right? Because I think this was like the last guy you showed me for Wave 1. Because what a lot of people don't know is we actually initially considered Delta Squad. That character was initially thought of to be retrograd, right?
Yep.
So, or was it initially like did we have him as a good guy, then a bad guy, then a good guy again? No, I think we started him as a bad guy.
He was supposed to be a bad guy army builder, probably with the Dark Shadows, because I was meaning to do a GRU operative or Spetsnaz operative, like similar to what we see in Thunder Battalion at some point. It just wasn't in the final lineup as a lot of things were getting shuffled in and out. There's a lot of, that's how it is with every wave. As we're going, things will get shuffled in and out. Like people are like, where's Leadfoot? When's she coming? And
because she's in the comic. Yeah.
She's in the comic, but she won't be in this next wave at the end of 2026, just because there's always priorities. It's like this one takes priority over that one, et cetera, et cetera. So
I think you flip flop between putting Delta Squad in either Dark Shadows or Retrograd, because the drawing I have says Retrograd at the top and almost no notes.
oh, okay.
So yeah, so it literally has the Retrograd writing at the top. That's why I assumed it was replaced with this, but it seems like you may have put it there, moved it to the Dark Shadows, started developing this guy. So all we'll say is he was a bad guy and he was considered for both bad guy factions, I guess. We're trying to pull up memories from 5 years ago. 6 years
Right.
ago almost. So
Yeah.
it's funny
Yeah.
how we kind of give shit to people who don't remember stuff from 30 to 40 years ago, and here we are. You're like, you remember it as a Dark Shadows, I remember it as a Retrograd. And it
Right.
ended up becoming a Delta Squad eventually, right?
Yeah.
But we're just over 20 minutes in, and this is the slide everybody wants to see, which is what's happening in 2026, right? Oh boy, the name reveals.
Yeah.
Make you happy seeing this?
That just represents a lot of work, but yeah. I mean, it's going to be good. Yeah, for Joefest, we have 2 exclusives, and I think people are really, really going to enjoy them. I'm really impressed with how they're turning out, and it's very exciting. They're both a bit different. There's some new innovations going into both, and then 2026. We're hoping to get these 6 figures in before Christmas of 2026.
So for those who will have questions, the Joefest exclusives are currently, one of them's currently in production. The other one is not far behind. So we're going to sandbag the actual physical reveals of that for a little bit, but you can guess what JF26 stands for, right? You'll like that one. And the special 2-pack will reveal more as the time gets closer. Now, the reason we do that is we tend to be secretive about the Joefest exclusives, but harkening back to Wave 1, where we had test shots and prototypes of Wave 1, that late 2026 is by and large what you've initially called Wave 2, right? Whether or not we rejig the wave numbers, I'm not sure, but that's why we're willing to reveal names, because we did that for the initial wave, for the first wave, right? So we've got our combat medic tourniquet. We've got, it's an M29 gunner that No Aloha is, right?
249.
249?
So, yes, he'd be known as the SAW gunner. So, squad automatic weapon, not semi-automatic.
Okay. All right, then. Okay. And he's the one that's going to come with a surfboard. Yep.
Yes.
And a companion. Yes.
Yep, that's right.
That's right.
This is not a combat.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. This is not a combat companion, by the way. Most of our animal companions will probably be non-combat related, roles or whatever. This is just for fun.
If you know if you're a fan of Leonidas, you'll probably be a fan of this character, even though their personalities are completely different. You'll still see why when we reveal what you like about him. Now, talk about this one, 10th Mountain Division.
Yeah, okay. So 10th Mountain Division, that's a real division in the American military. They're close to tier 2. Some people consider them tier 2, in the special. I mean, they're not really special operations, but they're definitely a special division. They specialize in Arctic and alpine terrains. So they're quite a unique division. So with them involved, that means that we are pushing towards the Arctic.
Hence why the words winter is coming as far as this theme is concerned. Now, on the right side there, we've got our villains, because the left side is heroes. Snow Sparrows. For fans of Delta-17, you can guess what that is, because we've got Arctic Death Sparrow as well. And Arctic Thunder Battalion, and people are going to wonder, why does that have 3 asterisks at the end? Oh. And Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's because our initial desire is still to have that debut at Joefest 2026, because there's a little bit of new tooling on that one, but not too much new tooling on that one. So our hope is to still accelerate that, but we're putting that at late 2026 because that right now that's still the more likely delivery timing. So yeah.
I mean, in reality, I'm I'm about 2 months behind, maybe 3 months behind
Mhm.
schedule, just based on life. So
Understandable. So, yeah, I'll probably be showing the slide as I go on other shows. Like Podcast from the Pit has asked me to come on. Circle of
nice.
Jerks and Punk with Toys groups have asked us to come on. So I'll probably pull up this slide, and then what everyone really wants to see is this little teaser we got at the end here. Bam. That's
Kaboom.
that's the shot everyone's been waiting for here. So, you know what? I don't know if I want to talk through this one or if we should just let that hang in the air. I think we should let that hang in the air.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll mention a couple of things. You can see Death Sparrow, Snow Death Sparrow up at the top there. Um, she has a Russian fur hat called Nushanka. And since she's the leader, she's got a bit of luxury going on there. She's got the big Ushanka, nice big luxurious fur hat, big luxurious fur hood lining, and she'll be sharing some tooling with the snow sparrows, which is at the bottom there. They are female snow Arctic troopers that work underneath Death Sparrow and as well as Snow Bunting, which will be coming in the future. So
Perfect. Snow Bunting being Death Sparrow's second in command still, right?
well, for the Arctic Division, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, that Ushanka, I know you were very, very particular on that because you had one sculptor working on most of Death Sparrow and then another sculptor working on the Ushanka, if I recall
Yeah,
correctly. Right.
yeah, that's
And
right.
then, yeah, now did you change much on her face or was it just to change the hair?
No, it's just the hair. Basically, the face is staying the same.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse Sandiford did everything else, but Tommy Hodges did the Ushanka, right?
Well, yeah, Jesse did the bodies for five, like since Snow Thunder Battalion or Snow Thunder, let's just call him. He's basically almost a full body reuse. We're giving him a new head, two new hats, new backpack, new snowshoes. So that one is sort of a reissue of types
Yep. And he's in the
sorts.
middle there. He's in the lighter color in the middle there. That middle left or
Yeah,
middle left. Yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
And so yeah, Jesse did the bodies for the other five, and then Tommy was doing heads and some accessories, and then at the end we got Tommy to redo or just sort of touch up a bunch of stuff on the bodies. He had a chunk of time, and he's just like, "Is there anything you want to just go over?" And it's like, "Yeah, why don't we just like do a bit of this, a bit of that." Like Carter the Conqueror, he did most of the body for No Aloha. He's the dude with the surfboard in the middle there, and we had some of that redone, and just whatever. I always like tweaking things. It's nothing against
Yeah.
anyone. It's just part of the artistic process that I enjoy the most, I think.
So if any of the sculptors watch this after, what ends up happening, at least my understanding of the process, Steve, is that um, Jesse will work on a bunch of stuff. Carter will work on No Aloha. But the thing is, there's a certain aesthetic that needs to match that first wave. And when you put it all together, there's something just makes it look a little bit different. Then you end up getting Tommy Hodges to retouch it up a little bit just to like make certain things round or square off a few certain things, you know, tweak the proportions just a little. So when you put it next to an initial wave figure, it looks like it's all completely uniform. And that's just the artistic
Yeah,
eye that you have that someone like me doesn't have, right? Like I think even with that initial wave, part of that Jaguar sculpt, while it was assigned to Jesse, part of it was done by Tommy. I think the only one that was completely done by somebody else in that first wave was Shadow Dragon, that was done by Jesse, and then eventually Hailstorm was done by Corey, but Hailstorm's completely different. So
yeah.
yeah,
I think Jaguar was completely by Jesse, wasn't it? I don't
not
think.
not the arm, not the arms. The arms
Oh,
was.
yeah,
Oh, you
yeah,
know what? You're right. Tommy didn't
yeah,
touch it up. He did, but he did the arms because you reused the arms from I think Rooster, and the
yeah.
lower arms from the Delta Squad. So that
Right,
was it.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's where we're at. So everyone's
But
going to
yeah,
want to look at this shot.
the way you summed it up there is absolutely correct. Like, it's not so much that we want to correct what the other sculptors are doing, but what we're looking for is a uniformity of a style. So if something's just a little bit out of the uniform style of wave one, we want to just sort of dial that in, so that we always have a certain style going amongst all of our figures. So that's our goal throughout the whole future, is whatever bar that we've set now, we want to keep that stylistically. And of course, we'll be constantly looking for innovations. You'll see some new innovations in this wave. We're not going to reveal all of it, but some new backpack features and different things like that on a couple of the figures. And I think people will be quite excited. We have 2 different types of snowshoes, and we have a set of skis coming and a surfboard. So there's some variety there in the accessories.
Yeah, like you'll see the massive backpack there on Tourniquet at the bottom left, right?
Yeah.
So that's because the combat medic has got to carry a lot of stuff. And yeah, you're right. Like the only sculpt that was done start to finish by one sculptor with no tweaking at all for our figures was Shadow Dragon, because he's a bit more fantastical, right? Again, not counting Hailstorm, because that's a robot. Like it's a tank robot, not just like an Okami robot. But yeah. So the uniformity of it is going to basically make it what Delta-17 style is, right? And maybe we have to let go of that in the future, because Tommy's not always going to be, we can't always expect it to be around to do minor reshaping of little things here and there, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so far we've been really blessed. We've worked with, 4 amazing sculptors who have done a fantastic, well, maybe it's more than 4. I don't know. I'm not good with numbers, but they've been amazing.
It's 4 main sculptors, right? Tommy, Jesse, Corey, and then we had Carter for 1 figure. So it's 4 main sculptors.
Right. Okay.
Right. And I think you've had Mark II Design do a little bit of the weapons here and there.
Right.
Azim Banks did the initial buck for us that was, reshaped here and there as well. Yeah. So that's that. I think this is the one everyone's going to want to screenshot. And then what else are we doing in 2026? So we get asked by a lot of people, what shows are we going to be at? Now, this is where we will have direct Delta-17 representation. I understand that Destro's Toy Den, Sasquatch toys, and toy department often carry our stuff to shows. They brought it there to Retro Toy Con. They brought it to Assembly Required. But the ones that we're planning to be at, 3 out of the 4 are confirmed. 1 of them were waitlisted. Joe Ricondo will represent us with a Delta-17 booth, all the Delta-17 branding, February 28th and March 1st at ZoloCon 26.
Nice.
The DFW G.I. Joe action figure show comes next. And John Mejia from Emerald Knight Photos lives in that area. Now, he doesn't have all the booth infrastructure that Joe has, but we're gonna get him a table. Greg's told me, you can go ahead and advertise that, right? So he'll be representing us there. Joefest will be our full setup with all of us there.
Yeah,
right. That's the one where we get 3 booths, 30-foot setup, and then Legion's Con at the end of the year in November. We're waitlisted. We're hoping we get in. If we're there, we're going to be in the hallway. But Joe Ricondo says he'll be able to make it to that show. I think he's going to attend regardless of whether we make it or not. But that's the reason why that says waitlist. So don't everybody go to Jeremy Gerard and his partners there and say, oh, by the way, Ken said they're going to. No. That's still waiting to be confirmed, because they have a deep wait list, right? So it's not like, I don't think we were first on the wait list or anything to that effect. So
yeah,
that's where things are at. And yeah, so that kind of takes us to the end of this, Steve. You got anything else to add?
No, man. No, that sounds good.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll get a lot of questions for a lot of this stuff. So yeah, expect 2 items at least 3 if you count the 2-pack as 2 items, but 2 SKUs, 2 packaging things to show up by Joefest, and then 6 more by the end of the year, 2026. So that's what the next 12 or so months looks like.
Yeah. Hopefully we can bang out a comic in time. We'll see.
Well, you've got most of that in audio format right now, so we'll hold tight and hope that we can get that. I was just asked about the comic today, so I was like, we have the layout, the idea for the comic, but it's just nowhere near ready to present. So yeah.
I mean, ideally, I would love to do between 2 and 4 comics a year. I think that is, 2 is the bare minimum. 4 would be ideal. It's a gargantuan amount of effort, and it's a ton of money. It's at least 10 grand for each comic, for between the artist and the colorist and printing and all of that other stuff, shipping, etc.
No, I'm okay because my internet started acting up, so I don't know if anyway, maybe that's why we're ending the stream right now.
Okay.
Anyway,
it's probably a sign.
Final thoughts? Any final thoughts on that comic, or did you get to the end of what you wanted to say?
I'm just saying that I would love to. We'll see if we can push one out before Joefest. I think there's a chance.
Okay, fingers crossed. I'm here for whatever you need on that comic. So
I appreciate that, man.
All right then. So everybody, that's your news burst from the 5x5 Toys group on the Delta-17 brand. So see y'all next time.